taxi drivers across the UK are particularly concerned, given that rising petrol and diesel costs are, of course, a big chunk of their take-home pay. Plus, cabbies meet and talk to people from all walks of life, and in my experience, often have a good sense of where the economy is headed and the state of business sentiment. So I'm delighted to welcome back John Constantine, Manchester taxi driver and the city's only green badge tour guide. He's a previous On the Money guest, and we're also still with friend of the show, Iona Bain. Iona, these rising fuel and diesel costs, it strikes me that whenever oil prices go up, the price of petrol and diesel go up, but when oil prices go down, the price of petrol and diesel stay the same. Am I being too cynical?
No, I don't think you are being too cynical. But I certainly think that this is really adding to that sense of households being squeezed right now. And, you know, the advice that I would give is just to be a more sensible driver, if possible. Obviously, ease up on the accelerator, you know, change between gears slowly. And for goodness sake, do not use the petrol stations on the motorway, because those are an absolute rip-off.
They're always the most expensive, aren't they? And double up on your journeys. Try and, you know, car share with a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the supermarkets, generally speaking, do tend to offer a better deal, although there are questions about whether the supermarkets are going to take this whole situation into account and maybe, you know, not keep so much of the profits that they normally would do. And I'm a little bit cynical as to whether that will happen.
And it's worth saying, just before we go to John Constantine in Manchester, it's worth saying that around 70 to 75% of the price you pay on the forecourt for your fuel when you fill your car or van is tax.
Yeah.
That's a lot of extra cash. If the price of petrol and diesel goes up, the government gets more tax. Maybe they could use that to implement what we've been calling for here on GB News, On the Money, scrapping the VAT.
Yeah.
On those household fuel bills.
Well, it was promised before Brexit, so we're waiting.
There you go.
Come on,
John
guys.
Constantine in Manchester, taxi driver extraordinaire. Great to have you back on the money, sitting there in your cab. You're always welcome on this show, John. What do you think of these rising petrol and fuel and diesel prices? Are they the talk of the town in Manchester?
It affects everything, though, Liam, doesn't it? I mean, I speak to people when they get in a taxi and they go, how do you manage with the price of the fuel going up? And it's just, I suppose we're lucky in one way, really, that you can put in a few more hours, you can do a few more jobs, but then you tend to be putting more hours in, and the more hours you put in, you're just standing still. So it's very, very difficult at the moment, and it's a real worry and a suffer of how far it's going to go. You know, is it going to be, are we at the maximum prices now? Because you think, is it going to go up any more?
I filled up my car last night. It cost 90 quid. The RAC says it's a big family saloon. The RAC says the average car now costs £80 to fill up. Without giving away any trade secrets, John, how much did it cost you to fill up that wonderful Manchester taxi that you're sitting in?
I've got an electric taxi, so it runs on petrol and electric. But I put £40 in petrol last night, so everything goes up, doesn't it? And it's all relative to the electric prices, the fuel prices. But the lads who've got the traditional diesel taxis, it's costing, you know, it's so much more money that you don't account for, because our fares are regulated by the council, so we can't put the fares up just because your expenses have gone up. So you just end up working more hours.
Now, I know, John, you've got a particularly nice taxi. I've seen it in real life. It's got an amazing sunroof because of the tours that you do around Manchester. Do you think more cabbies are going to move towards electric taxis now, despite the huge initial outlay to buy one, given these fuel price rises?
It's getting more balanced with the fact that how much the fuel is and the savings with electric might push the drivers into getting the electric cabs, which then is good for the environment, which, you know, is one of those things that we need to go electric because of the environment, and the fuel costs are so high that it might push the drivers into thinking, I can save money if I get electric, and rather than pay it on fuel, you pay for the extra cost of the vehicle.
And I know you're very chatty and you talk to lots of the people that get in the back of your cab, picking them up at Manchester Station. You'll have lots of conversations with people about the state of business, the state of the economy. What's your sense of where we're heading? On some measures, the economy is doing well. On other measures, we've got millions of households struggling with a cost of living squeeze.
Yeah, That's the problem, isn't it? People suffering, the price of food going up, the price of fuel going up, electric, gas, all your standing charges are going up. And okay, the economy might do well, but it might take a bit of time for it to be reflected in people's wages, in actually your take-home pay. So it's one of those very difficult situations we're in at the moment.